Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. So in this video, we are going to see the overall function of the CRM, sales, its configurations and the settings. So we'll just start with the CRM. Okay. Under the CRM, we are going to see all the options, all the menus, all the configurations that has been defined, what are its functions, its functionality in depth. So we'll start with the sales. Under the sales, you have multiple options like my opportunity pipeline, my activities, teams, customers, my estimates, my sales order, opportunity pipeline, all activities, all estimates, and sale orders as well. So let's start with my opportunity pipeline. So when you click on this, okay, this is the dashboard where it would be visible to you, wherein these are all the leads that has been assigned to me. Okay, and what are these leads? Basically defining in which stage the leads are, so that like these are all the leads that has been created by the managers, like the lost, not applicable, lost, SDN not bidding, lost, won. So these are all the stages that has been created, and you get to know in which stage it is, what has to be defined. So you can like all the opportunities like from over here, okay, the leads that has been assigned to you. So now if you see these are these stages, okay, the stages are nothing but are defined under the configurations. If I go to the stages, these are all the stages that has been defined. You can always create one new stage if you want to have, okay, if there's any stage that is missing, and if you want to create, you can create with clicking on new, okay, and just define the stages. Okay, so there are two stages that cannot be changed, is a won stage and is a lost stage, because there is a functionality that has been defined based on these two stages. Okay, and if you are making any particular stage on to which sales teams, it has to be defined. Okay, you can select the sales team as well. Okay, and the stage probability, you can give a stage probability, like it could be 40%, 50%, a probability stage over that. Okay, so if you see over there, the one that is marked is a one stage. So make sure these two stages are not being archived or deleted. These are the two stages that defines the functionality, okay, for the opportunity. That an opportunity gets converted into the project, and estimate gets converted into a sale order. So those all the functions are defined with these two stages. So we go to the next is my activities. So under the my activities, you have multiple activities like a call. Okay. So these are all the activities that you can see that you have created. Okay. That is to call this opportunity Bob, to get the more information for the linears, to send an introduction email to CBD. So these are all the activities that has been as like you have been created. Okay, you can sort by the late activities, or the what are the today's activities or the future activities over here. Okay, so these activities are nothing but you have created another super opportunity. For example, this is an opportunity, and you would be you want to create an activity called, you have to email, you have to call, you have to take a meeting, to do reminder, upload a document, request signature, grant approval. So these are all the activity types that you can assign. If there's an activity that has not been defined over here, or you can always create one under the configuration activity types. Over here, you get to see all the activities that has been created. And if there is any activity that hasn't been seen over here, you can always create one. For example, like I have to give a demo to a client. Okay. So I can define a demo over here, and the action is a meeting. Under the meeting, I have to give a demo. And if there's any default user that has to be assigned. So let's say this activity, the one that we are creating, is just for me, or it's for a particular team or something. We can define those activities as well. Okay. If you do it blank, everyone would get to see this activity, okay, under the drop down. Okay. If you are creating it just for yourself, you can define your own user over here. Okay. This is the summary. You can define a summary for the demo, the default log node. Okay. And this is the next activity. So based on this activity, once you complete this activity, should the next activity should be created, or it should suggest a next activity. So over here we have two options. Should it suggest a next activity or should it trigger a next activity? Once you say it should trigger a next activity, and next activity that you want to trigger is a call or an email. Okay, so once you have given a demo, you have to take a feedback for the demo. We can define a next activity. Okay, and what is the email templates? If the make an email, you can define email template. If you have given a call, you can just leave this blank. And when should it trigger the action? Should it, once you have given a demo, after 4 days, after 3 days, it should create a next activity, okay, or in days, weeks, or months. And yeah, you can define after the completion date, but once you have completed the demo, it should trigger, or after the previous activity deadline. Okay, so you have two options over here. You can define it and you can save this. So what would happen is once you create an action, and once this demo, once you have completed the demo to a particular opportunity, it would create a next activity that is the call after the 3 days. Okay. So that's how we can define the activities over here. And my activities are nothing but all the activities that you have assigned to yourself. Okay, so this is the filter where it defines like what are the activities that has to be performed, and you can define like filter it down by today's activity, future activities, or the late activities that hasn't been completed yet. Then you have the teams over here. Under the teams, so these are all the teams, okay, that you have been assigned to. Okay, and you can create a team. So a sales teams under the configuration, if you go under the sales teams, so these are all the sales teams. You can define the sales teams based on the country, based on the region or city or the state or the language. Based on the sales teams can be defined on multiple factors. You can create the team name over here. Let's say the team has to be it's an Europe region, or if it's an Asia region or North America, you can define those sales teams over here. Okay, make sure you, whenever you create a sales team, you have checked these quotation and the pipeline, both the options. You can define the team leader for this particular sales teams that we have been creating. And then you have an email alias. So email alias is nothing but the email that you will be creating over here, or you'll be defining. Let's say sales at the rate is the TRP.SDD. Okay, this is just an example. Okay, we have an alias that has been already been created. We can define this. We can change this alias as well. Okay, so under the alias, once you give an email, so all the emails, let's say there's an email that has been triggered to this part, like sales at the TRP.SDD, it would create a lead or an opportunity for this particular sales team. Okay, and this is the acceptance email form for which company we have defining it, and what are the invoicing targets. You can define a target over here for a particular team. Okay, $20,000, or let's say $200,000, and you can define the team members over here. So these team members are nothing but the users. Okay, you can define multiple users for this, and then you can create one sales teams over here. Okay, and every sales teams will have its own pipelines or on an opportunity. For example, if I go to the teams, so this is one team. Okay, you get to see the open opportunity, overdue opportunity, quotations, order to invoice over here, and you can see the pipeline. So these are all the pipelines for this particular team and at which stage it is. Okay, so currently this is one stage, one team that has been defined in the system. You can create multiple teams based on the criteria or the factors that you define it. Okay, and then you can set the target, and you can see the entire performance for the particular team. Over here, you can have a view with the opportunity, with the quotations, what are the sale orders, the invoice over here. Okay, under the reportings, you can see the reportings or the opportunities, and you can group by, you can filter by with various modes and with the various filters over here. So now if you see under the sales teams, you can create a teams under the configurations, and in this teams you can just view, and a user can be assigned to multiple teams. So if there is a user that has been assigned to multiple teams, you would be seeing all the sales teams that he has been assigned. Over here, these are the customers. So these customers are nothing but the contact that has been created. Okay. And the contacts that mainly have, like, either you can create an individual or a company, and you can define the company name or an individual name over here, the address, the project. If there's any particular project that is you're creating this customer, you can assign to a particular project his office and number, facts, website, tags. And this is a catalog URL, okay, for this particular company or the individual that we're creating. You can define a catalog, and these are the contacts and the addresses of the individual for this company. You can define it over here. A contact person for this particular company, you can define the contact name, what is the title, the job position, email, and everything. And these are all the customers you can define. You can star market, okay, if it's a favorite customer or the current customer that is frequently buying from you. And under this, you have the estimates, my estimates. So these are all the estimates that you have been created. Okay. And you can see it through the list view or a 10-pen view. So these are all the estimates that you have been created. Over here, you get to see the statuses. You can filter by, you can group by various options for the, let's say, the are going to state status. Okay. So we get to know in which stage is my estimate is, like, how many estimates has been won, if there's any quick change, the lost. These are all the estimates that has, yeah, there's no stage defined to it. Okay, so we would get to see all this estimate. So yeah, the last one, take off in progress. So this is the filter where you can define all your estimates. These are all your sale orders that has been created. Okay. And this is nothing but an opportunity pipelines, okay, that you have like expected revenue of the stage. This is a list view, okay, of all the opportunities. Then these are all the activities, the ones that I have just defined. My activities are specifically related to the activities that you have been assigned. All activities is, this option would be enabled only for the admin. Okay, admin of the CRM and the sales. So you can see all the activities for all the users, all the estimates, and all this. These are all the sale orders. Okay, so if you see, if I click on the my sale orders, there is only one sale order that I have created as an admin. But if you go to the all sale orders, these are all the sale orders that has been created till date. Okay, this is another person like user has been created this. So these are options with the entire team. You can see our view. Okay, then for the estimates and the opportunities and the RFQ, you can define. I have explained it in a separate video. You can refer to that video as well. And under the configurations, now you have the sales teams that you have just defined how to create and sales teams and assign those. You have inclusion exclusions table over here. Okay. These are all the inclusion and exclusions that we have defined that are 5,936. Okay, we have imported this. But then if there's any inclusion or exclusions that you have to create, you can always create one. You can name, what's the type, is it inclusion, is it exclusion? Do you want to set it as default or and define the rules over here? Okay, so these inclusion and exclusions are nothing but then you define under the estimates. So I'll just show you. So if you see inclusion and exclusion tabs, so this would filter down all the inclusion and exclusion that you have defined. If there's any missing, there are 488 total inclusions, and with the exclusions there are 1026. So if there's any missing or you don't find it over here, you can always create under the configurations, inclusion, exclusions. Then we have the label type. Okay. So these are the label types. We can define this label type over here. Okay, let's say we'll be defining this label type as test. So these label types are defined under the opportunity form. Okay, if you were go to an opportunity, my info, the more info, and the labor type, the one that I've just created. So this was like a quick review, yeah, that you can just define what is the labor type for this particular opportunity, and that the more info. Then we have the contract terms. So these are the contract terms. Basically, is defined under the sale order. You can name the now. I see contract, and you can define the note as contract. Now, if I go to the sale order, or okay, under the sales, you have the contract terms tab. Under this contract terms tab, you have this the basic contract, and the notes would auto populate over here. You can always change these notes that has been defined by just clicking to this internal link, and it would uh, take you to the basic contract that is nothing but under the configuration that you are defining over here. Okay. So we have the next is the estimate scope type. So these are all the estimate scope types where you can see under the estimates. So if I go to an estimate, just open an estimate, and if I see this estimate scope type, these are all the scope type that has been defined. Oh yeah, you can always create a new from here. Okay, if you see that there's a scope type that has been defined till date, you can always create one new, or else you can create under the configuration and the estimate scope type. And these are the activities types that I have defined, like, in the previous, that you can create an activity type over there. And then you have the sale type that is been defined under the sales over there. This is the email sender configuration. Okay. So in this email sending configuration, we define the configuration like from the sales, from this email address, like sales@d-ind.com, from the model, from the estimate, from the sales, CRM leads, and the contact, it should send an email through this particular email ID itself. For the recruit, it should send from HR applicant, HR job applicant, lead contact, and the opportunity pages. So this is just an example. You can ignore this, but mainly we define from which email address should it send an email, like an outgoing email over here. Then we have the warehouse. Okay, and from the transfers, it should, whenever we are creating any transfer, it should, when we send an email, it should send by warehouse. For the PM at the rate ind.com, it should, from the purchase order, if you are sending any email, okay, from this form, it should send it from PM. For the purchasing, the request for quotation, it should send from purchase. So over here, you can always create a new email address and the models that you are going to define. So this is the main setting for the from which email address should it send an email for the particular form. Okay. We have the CRM lead contact. Okay, so these are all the leads and its contacts basically that you have assigned till date. For an opportunity, you have assigned John. So if you see an opportunity, you get to know the related company for which company it is. This is nothing but the contact of a company for an opportunity that you have been assigned over here. So this makes it easier to filter out if you're seeing an opportunity, and for that opportunity, if there's any individual that you have assigned that you need to contact him for this office email address, or is there an internal note that you have created, you can always filter it down over here from the configurations. Then we have the contact role. So these are all the roles that you predefine for an contact. Okay, like the assistant buyer, purchase, project manager, owner representative, purchase manager. Okay, these are all the ones. And if there's any missing, you can always create a new role that has not been defined in this form or in this list. Then we have the GC statuses, that is the general contractor statuses, like lost, The lowest bidder, GC awarded, approach GC contractor. These are nothing but under the opportunity. If you see for the GCs, that is nothing but the bidder. Over here, you have the GC statuses. So these are all the statuses over here. And if you want to create one or if you want to add one, you can always add with the configuration and the GC statuses. For the stages, these are the stages of the pipeline, okay, that you see for that particular opportunity. Okay, so these are all the pipelines that you would see under if I go to an opportunity or if I go to my opportunity pipelines. So these are all the stages that is defined over here. These are the tags. Okay, you can always create a new tag or you can give a color to this. These are all the tags that has been defined for a particular um, opportunities. Under the opportunity form, you can define the tags or for an estimates. And these are all the loss reasons that you can predefine over here, like GC loss, too expensive, we don't have people skills, not enough stock, already given to other subs, late, no response. So these are the reasons for the loss that you define it under the opportunity. If I go to an opportunity, and if I make it a lost, okay, you always have the reason that you need to put a lost from over here. Okay. Once you give a lost, it would you have to define the lost reasons. I mean, the lost reasons are nothing but the ones that you have already created. This is you can just create this the majorly statuses for the lost reasons so that you don't have to retype it again or anything. You can just define those under configuration and you can just select it, or else you can create it from here as an or under the configuration. And what kept us from winning, you can define it over here. So these are the read mining requests. Odoo by default defines you the read mining request, wherein you can define the requests. Basically, these are based on the credits that you have to buy from the Odoo. And over here, you can create for what do you need for the companies for other contracts, for which countries are we targeting, multiple countries for which states under those countries that we have defined, and for which industries over here. And then you can always submit and then it would basically it defines the credit you have to pay it. Okay, so these are the ones that you can always define the lead, and these are the CRM email templates. Okay, so there is one email template that has been defined. For an opportunity, you can create multiple email templates for sending an email or drafting anything. So these are the entire configuration for the CRM. Now we'll just go through the sales. So under the sales, if you see under the orders, you have the quotations. Okay, and those are nothing but under the quotation stage. These are the sale order confirm stage. You can filter it down. As I click on the order, these are all the confirm state. If I go to the quotations, these are under the draft. But okay, then we have the sales teams that this is the same option that you see it under the CR under the sales. Okay, that has been defined. You can define it under the sales module or else from the CRM module. So these are the common options like the customers that I have defined over there. Okay, and the configurations under the sales teams that has been defined. So these are the main same. Either you can create it from the sales module or from the CRM module. So we have configured in such a way that both the modules can, from both the modules, we can create it instead of switching it from sales to CRM and all those. So now, if you go to the configurations, you have the quotation templates. Okay, the template you can define multiple templates for sending a quotation over here. You can always create one. Okay, you can define the quotation expires, the offline confirmation like signature and payment. By confirmation, you can define it over here for which company are we, and you can define all the line of products over here. You can always design a template if there's no standard templates over there. Yeah, the over here there are all the shipping methods. Okay, you can create one if there's any missing the shipping methods that you send it. Okay, and these are the tags. So the tags are common for the both CRM and sales. Okay, these are the attributes. You can create an attribute over from all the materials and then its values. So make sure you check out the how to create product and variants. Have defined the attributes and the values. How to create the attributes and the values. Either you can create it from the product form, or you can go under the configuration and create over here. So this product thickness, product area, and the product catalog configurations, this we have defined specifically for the website that we are creating for the wholesales. So here we define the thicknesses, now all the thicknesses over here, and then we define the product area like 0 to, these are in nothing but in square inch, 0 to 24, 25 to 49. These are all the ranges that we have defined. And under the product catalog configuration, we define the thicknesses, then the square area per square, and what's the rate. You can define the rate over here, and then you can save. So this is basically, we have created this option for the websites. You can uh, always define the thickness and the square area rate per square for the signage. Okay, these are the unit of major categories where you define the units, the weights, the working time over there. So if there's, now if you see, there are working times with hours, with days over here. You can define it per minutes as well if you want, and just define the ratio over here for those. So if there's any missing thing for the units that has not been assigned over here, you can define it, or else you can create a new category itself and define the unit of measures. So if you want to see the more details, you have a separate video for this. You can check this out, or else you can refer to the Odoo's default videos as well. And under the products, you have this like price list, discount and loyalties, and the gift cards. So under the price list, so these are the price lists. You can define a price list for a particular um, clients or particular currency or a company as well. And over here, you define all the products, okay? For that particular product, if there's all the variants, what is the minimum quantity that has to be bought, the price, and if there's any limitation, the start date and the end date for this particular price list that we are creating. It would be a Black Friday or something. If you are creating a price list or a regular price list, oh yeah, you have time-based rules for the products, for the variants, and what's the period of it. Okay, daily, 3 hours, quarterly, weekly, once a year. Okay, these are the time wasteful. You can define it over here, and then the configuration. You can define the country groups, the discount policies, for which website we are applicable for this price list, and the e-commerce promotional code. If there's any code, you can define it over here. Okay. So for the discount, the codes are nothing but I'll just show you under the discounts and the loyalties program. So you can always create a discount or the promotional or a loyalty program for the customers. You can define uh, the program name. Oh yeah, okay. Then what is it? Is it whether you're going to give the coupons, loyalty cards? Is it a promotional or a discount code over here? Okay, and then you can define the currency and what are the conditions. If over here you can define multiple conditions, that the minimum quantity that has to be bought or the minimum purchase, that is like $50 over here. That this, whether it should be a tax included or excluded, you can define. And for this, if there's any, you are running this particular program for a specific product or a category, and you can define the product tag as well if there's any product tag you are running for. Okay, you can define multiple rules. You can create now multiple conditional rules for these discounts, and the reward that we are going to give over here is like 10% on your discount, or the cheapest product or specific products you want to define it. You can give a define, and you can define the max discount also. Okay, the discount will be 10% and the max discount could be like 15%, not above that. Okay, based on these conditions, it could now create more as well. You can restrict those things. And then we have the gift cards over here. Just for the customer retention or the customers, you can define the gift cards and the e-wallet Let's say that they are making a program for a gift card or an e-wallet. Okay, the gift card products, could you can define the products. If you don't define products, it would be applicable for all. And over here, you can see for which company, and it should be available on your websites for the sales or for the point of sales as well. Okay, for the websites, if we are hosting multiple websites, you can define all the website, or if there's any specific website for that we are defining it, you can define those as well. And over here, you can define the email template, the print report over here. That should be a coupon code or a gift card we are conducting, and then the currency over here. And then you can generate the gift cards based on whatever we are defining it. So let's say we are defining it as first and generate the gift cards, and that would generate, and you can select the customers. Okay, for a specific customer that you want to give on an how many numbers customers that you want to give, and generate how many gift card you want to generate is 10, 15, and it will generate those discounts, and you can allocate those gift cards to those particular customers. And you can define the validity as well. So under this reportings, you can have the multiple reports based on the sales orders, and you can group by the sales teams. What are the sales teams, salesperson, then the customers. Okay, define the product as well, for which product it is, how much was the sale. Over there, you can define with multiple graph views by view over here. For the invoicing, we'll cover this in accounting video. Okay, so these are different. So this is the overall view of the configuration for the CRM and the sales. So thank you, everyone.